Sally Rooney is the most successful author of her generation, and she's consistently used her platform to speak out for Palestine. Now, that includes support for the now proscribed group Palestine Action. So when the ban on Palestine Action was first announced, but before it came into effect, Rooney wrote in The Guardian that she supported the group and would continue to do so after the ban. And this weekend, she's written an article in the Irish Times restating her support for Palestine Action, saying if this makes her a supporter of terror, so be it. Rooney says she published the article in the Irish Times because it would be illegal to do so in the UK, so presumably no newspaper was willing to do that. But she adds this: "My books, at least for now, are still published in Britain and are widely available in bookshops and even supermarkets. In recent years, the UK's state broadcaster has also televised 2 fine adaptations of my novels and therefore regularly pays me residual fees. I want to be clear that I intend to use these proceeds of my work, as well as my public platform generally, to go on supporting Palestine Action and direct action against genocide in whatever way I can. If the British state considers this terrorism, then perhaps it should investigate the shady organisations that continue to promote my work and fund my activities, such as WH Smith and the BBC." Now, Ash, I suppose I should have spotted up on the legalities of this. I mean, it is definitely illegal to fund a terrorist organisation. So if I were to sort of say on this show, I'm going to donate £5 to Palestine Action, well, I suppose for a start, Palestine Action in a way doesn't exist because they have disbanded. So maybe that comes into this. But I'll throw this to you. This idea that the BBC will be indirectly funding Palestine Action to the extent that it still exists, lots of legal grey areas here. Is that awkward?
Well, I'm not sure if legally the BBC will be held responsible. Sally Rooney would be, but I'm not sure if the BBC would be. What she's trying to do, and I think quite cleverly, is force a crisis in liberal cultural institutions which have wibbly wobbly, slightly progressively inflected politics, and they do a bit of hand wringing about the scale of devastation in Gaza. But certainly when it comes to taking political action and a political stance on what's going on, doesn't want to get in trouble with the campaign against anti-Semitism and David Collier and UK Lawyers for Israel and all them lot. So that's what she is trying to do. She's trying to say, okay, you like me when I'm the millennial author, writing about the, condition and inner lives of Trinity students. You loved it when Paul Mescal broke down crying and we all cried with him. But I'm a political author. I'm not just churning out a commodity that you can enjoy and consume in a way which is separate from my politics and my beliefs. I'm gonna use that sort of strange relationship of a Marxist novelist becoming one of the fiction bestsellers. Not just in Ireland and the UK, but much further afield as well. I'm going to use that strange position to try and force a political reckoning with the state, which has taken a draconian level of overreach in the prescription of Palestine Action, possibly at the behest of arms lobbyists and the encouragement of the Israeli embassy. So she's using her status in a quite clever way, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry if that was garbled.
That wasn't garbled at all. We're going to end on some rage bait. This was, like every good YouTuber should, this was LBC's Ben Kentish. Imagine how many Gazans could be helped with Sally Rooney's money if she gave it to one of the many charities supporting them directly, rather than using it to help a small bunch of extremists graffiti planes and attack the police. Now, this is stupid for a number of reasons. I'm going to go to Ash for a few of them in one moment. First of all, donating money to charities supporting them directly, obviously you should do that. But what's the point? Because the food's not going to get in, right? There is no... Obviously, donate to Palestine charities. You should do that anyway. But the idea that we can solve this problem by donating to Palestine charities is ridiculous, given that Israel is stopping all the aid organizations working. So if you've got an aid organization that buys food to try and limit the famine, is not going to get in. So this idea that people shouldn't do politics, they should just practically help. Israel has made it completely impossible to practically help by killing aid workers. Ash, any other thoughts on Ben Kentish, this seems to be a rather unpleasant man.
Ben Kentish, look into my eyes. You are a fucking numpty. Unfortunately, though, he's not unique in the British media environment, because what he's saying is this, is how dare you be political? How dare you put the suffering of Gazans into a political context? How dare you highlight the role of UK media institutions and UK politicians and weapons manufacturers who are on UK soil? How dare you do any of these things? What's happening in Gaza, this genocide, don't think of it as a series of war crimes where the people who are aiding and abetting those war crimes, they have names and they have addresses and they have financial interests and you can pressure them. Think of it as being like a hurricane or a flash flood or a drought or some kind of, horrible disease which happens to have broken out. Think of it as an act of nature, because you wouldn't, hate to sound like that anti-piracy advert of, you wouldn't download a car, but, you wouldn't politicize a tornado. So how dare you politicize a genocide? I think what this points to is the structural role that individuals like Ben Kentish play, which is to lower the level of analysis and the critical faculties amongst their audience by loudly performing their own stupidity as frequently as they can.